Hey, I'm Landon Lins, and welcome to the very first Cali Nerdcast. And for the first episode today, I'm going to talk about Star Wars Rogue One. Just came out, so I thought, I'll start this first podcast episode talking about this movie because I've been excited about it. Um, Originally, I was planning on doing it with my brother, my friend Luke, but they're both very busy guys, so maybe they can be in the next episode, hopefully future episodes. So just think the quality would be better and probably be more fun to listen to. But um so Rogue One, uh I loved it. It was really good. I was, I would say I'll just start off with the critique first. The only kind of problem I had with it was like some of the acting, so the main character's acting, the main character, the girl, her acting, Janessa, I think. Uh, it just didn't really do it for me. But like Star Wars has never been really known for the greatest of acting. I think that's okay. Um, but there's so many other lovable characters in it that if she's not for you, like she wasn't for me, then you got characters like that robot, um, that's just full of hilarity. Um, yeah, and the battles were epic. Um, I think it's a dream come true for fans of Star Wars to see like real the definition of Star Wars. You're seeing actual Star Wars, and and this movie has a different feel to it than a lot of Star Wars in the past because I think previously before the heroes just always seem to have the upper hand. They always have conflicts, but yet it's like they're always untouchable. This movie is not like that. These characters are very capable of dying, and yeah, just to throw this out there too, this is gonna be full of spoilers. So if you haven't seen the movie, you should probably just stop listening now. Go see that movie, and then come back. But yeah, because I mean the main characters. Here's the spoiler: they die. And I think that was a really good choice for a spin-off Star Wars movie. I don't, you can't kill off too many of the main characters in a regular Star Wars movie because then, who's going to be in the sequels? But this one had no sequels planned, and it's not that, you let these characters die, but, they died for a cause that not only benefited, the events of episodes 4, 5, and 6, but even the new characters in 7, and which really expands all the way to episode 8. It's this. There's still hope. And that was, I think, a huge message that I really loved. This movie is all the Star Wars movies do a great job of they give you hope, and they're very spiritual. They're very, I love this line where that blind guy that's like a ninja master, basically, tells that guy that he brings his cage with him everywhere he goes. Like, he just lives his prison, because they're stuck in prison, and he's like, I'm not willing to stay in this prison. He says, you bring your prison everywhere you go. And it's just deep stuff. It's stuff that doesn't always make it into a lot of action movies. But yeah, and oh, coughed to my own spit. Whew. See, I'll just get right to it. One of my favorite scenes was the scene with Darth Vader. Seeing Darth Vader just basically go kind of Gray Fox from Metal Gear Solid on a bunch of rebels. I don't know if any of you guys have played the original Metal Gear Solid game, but there's a scene in that game where this cyborg ninja guy with a sword walks into this hallway, and there's all these soldiers. They're all trying to shoot him, and he's just deflecting all their shots, and then one by one he's killing them, and even throws some of them into the ceiling. In the remake version of the game, he actually did like slice a guy in half that was in midair, and it's like they recreated that with Darth Vader. I don't know if they got that inspiration from, probably not, but I couldn't believe the similarity between that, those two scenes, and that was probably one of my favorite scenes from Metal Gear Solid. It's just so brutal, so intense, and so just like you fear this character, but in a way that you're like half intimidated, half impressed. And it's a weird kind of line to draw between those two. But yeah, it's Darth Vader like we've never seen him before. We've seen him use a lightsaber, and you wait through most of that movie waiting for the part where you're gonna see a lightsaber. And so, yeah, to not only see him, use his lightsaber and kind of bring that, thing that we've been waiting for, but also to just exceed our expectations and just create this. It defined the reason, the rebels were so afraid of Darth Vader. Why he has this reputation. And so, yeah, it was great. That part was great. See what else happened. It's a little slow at the beginning, and I think some people even complained about the fact that they didn't have the opening crawl that the other Star Wars had, where it pops in with that music, and it reads out to you where we're at in the series. But this isn't a main Star Wars movie. This is a spin-off. And yet what was so awesome is to see how tied in it is with the series. And here's the thing. Here's what I realized this whole movie's goal was. I think this whole movie's goal was to answer a criticism that people have had about Star Wars, the original movie that first came out, for years. The criticism was, um, how could they have built the Death Star with such an obvious weakness? There's a hole, and if something goes into that hole, someone fires into that hole, it blows up the whole Death Star. In this movie does a great job of answering that question. It was Janessa's dad who, agreed to help build the Death Star, even though he was against the Imperials, so that he could place a weakness in the Death Star. He knew that it was going to be built either way, so he knew if he got involved, he could put a weakness in it. And it's funny to me because that's like, at the same time, that seems like such a small premise for a movie. Oh, you know what everyone's wanting to see? Everyone wants to know why the Death Star was so easy to blow up. Well, we're going to answer that question with a whole movie that is supposed to make millions of dollars and sell all these toys just to explain that question. But, I mean, and there's still so many things that are unanswered. Things that happen between 3 and 4. But, in order to really answer those, you have to kind of create CG versions of all the main characters, and you create this new story, and then you're just watching like a CGI version of Luke Skywalker the whole time, which, here's another criticism about Rogue One. The whole CGI Grand Moff Tarkin. I wasn't too bothered when I first saw him, even though I didn't like how it looked. I thought, oh, that'll just be a brief moment, and then, we'll never see him again. Well, he kept popping up, and he was like a main character in this movie, and it's just really unbelievable. It's just this, like, animated version of a person, and the technology has definitely advanced and evolved, and, it looks as good as, I would expect any CGI character could look like an actual human being. But I don't know. I mean, I always feel like they need to contact like Marvel or something, see how they did Iron Man, Robert Downey Jr., see how they like recreated that younger version of him. Maybe it would have helped if the guy that played that character, Grand Moff Tarkin, was still alive and could have just done the parts, and then they just CGI him at whatever age or whatever. But, it's like, it just didn't look realistic. And to see that for so long, it just kind of took away from how good the rest of the movie looked, and how, the rest of the movie really sucks you into that world, and that kind of brought me out of the world and was just like, ugh. CGI Grand Moff Tarkin, okay. Like, cause some things, I don't know, like with the Matrix, there's a bunch of scenes in I think it's Reloaded or Revolutions, where they use a CGI Keanu Reeves, and it's just for brief moments, but I totally believed it. But then I went back and could tell that it was fake. This was something where I didn't even have to see it a second time. The very first moment I saw it, I could tell it was fake. And I think that's just, it shouldn't be like that. He's not that, who's like, oh, they gotta bring Grand Moff Tarkin back in this movie. It's like, I think we would be more forgiving if they made like a CGI like Han Solo or something like that, because that's a character we actually want to see, and we just put up with the fact that he's CGI. But to see this character, we don't even really need to see. No one's longing to see Grand Moff Tarkin again, and then for them to say, "Oh, the fans are gonna want to see him so badly that we gotta make a CGI version so they get to see that character once again." I just don't think that really made much sense. But I mean, it's always easier to talk about the problems than it is the great things that it does, and that movie does a lot of great stuff. It's a really fun movie. I left feeling like, yes, I got to live in that Star Wars world again, and got to experience this whole new, Star Wars experience. But yeah, and it was cool. It was cool seeing like the bow staff kind of kung fu style action. That's something we've never seen in a Star Wars movie before. And honestly, I don't think you'd want to see it in a main Star Wars movie, but in a spin-off, and in a time when there are no Jedi's. That's just the ultimate time to kind of bring that kind of action into Star Wars. It was the first time, and I think it's safe to say it'll probably be the last time, which I think would be good. But it was a cool. We needed something like that. We knew there weren't going to be much lightsaber battles, so next best thing. And he really did, the full like Jackie Chan style. He's he's hitting one guy while he's just about to hit another guy, and he did a good job with that. But yeah, so I part of this podcast too is not to just nerd out about stuff, but being Christian, as I am, not to be in anybody's face about that, but I think there's just so many Christians that don't think that you can find God in the entertainment and in movies and in TV shows. And I have not found that to be true at all. I think you have a really one-dimensional kind of boxed-in God that can't, speak to you in different ways, because especially in the Star Wars movies, there's so many messages that are so at the heart of God, so much about hope and about having peace and in faith. There's such a message of faith in the Star Wars movies. It's just a matter of, will we let those things inspire us in our relationship with God, or will we just kind of see it as a movie and not have any part in it, kind of separate from it. I don't go to a movie like that and just go, oh, what's the Christian message? What's the Christian message? But there's certain parts of it that just bring out in my heart what is already God's heart, and I don't have to look for those things. They awaken. There's an awakening of that thing inside that says that there's hope, in that and that was that each person's powerful, and that if you should never feel the need to give up. There is hope. But yeah, I mean, and it's not just the thing about Star Wars movies though too is that you don't really get into like the inner kind of deep psychological kind of pain that people can have in those movies and see like them kind of work through that. But when you see movies where it's someone's working through like deep emotional pain and they find breakthrough, like God's all over that. That is the nature of God. It doesn't have to be a Christian thing. It has to do with freedom, and God is all about setting people free from pain, from addiction, all sorts of things. So you can find those messages in a lot of movies. Yeah, I thought Star Wars was good. Star Wars Rogue One. That part where the one guy's like, they're asking who's there, who's on that ship, who's taking over that ship. They're in the rebel base and they're about to take off. And I was there with my stepdad, and he just totally called it. He's like, he's gonna say Rogue One. I was like, yep, definitely. It's Rogue One. There's the title. That's when you get to leave the movie, right? They said the title. That's it. That's all we were waiting for. But well, yeah. So that pretty much sums up my thoughts about Rogue One. Can't wait for the future movies to come out. I'll definitely do future podcasts. But thanks for listening. I know it probably would have been better with other people, but I wanted to at least put something out there for Rogue One. And so I'm keeping it a little short. Hopefully in the future I plan on making it a lot longer. I think it'll be better with actual conversations with people. So just me talking to a microphone. But yeah, thank you for listening. And this concludes the first episode of Cali Nerdcast. Thank you.